Welcome to Lab 3 of the R Template series. I'm an Azure administrator as well as an Azure Solutions Architect. In this lab, instead of creating resources from scratch, we will use an export template feature from the Azure portal. But first, we will learn about the output feature. Hey, welcome back to our third lab on the template series. Today we're going to add outputs as well as add some more resources to our template. So I think we have a very exciting lab today. Outputs, what are they? Why would you use them? Well, you can use outputs to return values from the template. For example, we might think it'd be a good idea to get the endpoints for a new storage account in this example. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to configure some output. If we scroll down to the end of our template, you can see we have outputs here. So we'll just put our cursor in between the brackets, hit the old enter key, and let's code away. So we want to put the storage endpoint, nice little colon, and then a curly bracket, enter. And of course we want to do type, colon, and object. Comma, and then the value. Whoops. Enter. VALUE colon bracket reference parenthesis variables RIABLES. Here we're going to use one of our variables, and we're going to use the unique storage name because we want to reference our storage account. There we go. And we need two parentheses, a period, and primary endpoints. And then a bracket, which we have, and a quote. Let me look at my error list here, and we've got quite a few missing parentheses or something's going on. Looks like I need a quote right here. That fixed a lot of them. The unexpected character sequence in member value line. Ah, look at that. Need some more quotes. Reference, is that not spelled right? REFERENCE. Man, a lot of problems. But we're back to our only error, which we don't understand. So that's looking pretty good there. We'll click the old save. And you probably guessed it. We'll validate. Pretty good. Our template is valid. I forgot my status of my actual Azure account, so I'm going to go check to see what's in my speed RG resource group, and it appears to be empty, which is what we want. Empty. So let's go ahead and run this. Deploy, new, and look at our parameters. Everything's looking good. Save, deploy. Looks like our script failed there. Let's check it out. Remember to value template storage point endpoint for users details. So we got a problem. Storage endpoint is not valid. The language expression property primary does not exist. Oh, I see the problem. Anybody else see the problem? It's in this line. This is not a valid way of saying that. That's the valid way of saying it. So we'll do a save. I don't see a reason to have to validate again. I'll say deploy. Let's try this again. It's deploying. One thing to mention here that I haven't mentioned in the past, if you go to your portal while this is happening and click on deployments under your resource group, you actually see the deployments we did. We see the error one, and we can see it's deploying right now. So that's pretty cool. And it looks like we were successful here. Let's see, and we're successful here. Pretty good. Okay, now if we go back to this screen, just in case you're lost, let me show you how I got there again. Go to your resource group that you're deploying to, deployments, and then there you are. Now, if we look at one we did earlier, this is the one from the previous lab, and if we go to outputs, there's no output. However, if we go to the one we just did, outputs, here we got our storage endpoint information. So that's what the output does for you. Not it could be useful. Not the necessary thing to learn, but it is nice that we learned in this lab so far that we do have a deployment parts here. And that's going to lead us into our next topic. Also note here, we got overview, inputs, not so great. Outputs we looked at, and template though, pretty exciting here. This should look familiar because here's our really very similar to what we wrote in Visual Studio or our whatever JSON editor you're currently using. And notice you even have parameters here. So this is a pretty good something to know when you start creating your more complex templates. If you're not really sure how to do something, go ahead and create this in the portal and look to see at the values. This is just one way to look at values. We'll learn of one other way, at least one other way, in coming labs. But this is somewhat a useful way to get the syntax if you're looking for something. You could look at even an existing deployment that was done earlier and go to this view and find the syntax. So pretty useful information here. So let's continue into our next part of the lab, and that's going to be we're going to add a new resource to our template. We're going to add a app service plan and a web app. Pretty exciting. Okay, next we want to add an app service plan to our template. And I've not covered app service plans in any of my labs previously, but think of an app service plan as a VM running IIS, but as a platform as a service resource. So it's basically a IIS server. The app service plan is like the CPU, and the web app is the actual IIS service. So we're going to create one. You don't need to know any of that really to create the resource. It's a pretty straightforward resource. And you'll see why we're going to use the template option after we create the resource to help us make the resource in our template. That probably didn't make a lot of sense, but I think as you walk through it, it will become crystal clear. So what I want to do is create a new resource group. Create a resource. Resource group. I'm going to call it speed temp. Put in East US. Create. Go to my resource group. Click on add. And this is where I create the app service plan. We don't want environment. App service plan. All right, present it with resource group, which is good. We're going to call our plan. I'm going to call mine speed app plan. 3 P's in a row. I'm going to make a Windows one. I'm going to create it in the East US. I'm going to change my SKU and size, just to save a little money, to dev B1. Free. And review and create. Pretty simple way to create an app service plan. Did I click create? Apparently not. These don't take long at all. Deployment in progress. Deployment is underway. All right, it succeeded. I'm going to go to the resource. And scrolling down to export templates. And here we go. What you should see is something that should look somewhat familiar. It's going to be a template all created for us and the resource. So pretty good. Now we already have this in our template. The scheme, the content version. So we're going to copy from, we got resources defined already. So we're going to go from this one here down to this one. See how they kind of line up for this little gray line. So that's what you want, up to this one. We're going to do a Control C, then cruise on over to our JSON editor, go to resources. And this is where, let's see, resources here, highlight that one, and highlights this one. See how that's highlighted? So we want a comma here, because we're going to add something new. And I'm going to do a Control V. And this parameter farm is not defined. That is correct. Object is enclosed as expected. So object is unclosed. Something is expected. Look what I did. I missed it by 1. I wanted this one here too. See how this lines up with this one? So we need another bracket. So basically what the message was telling us was pretty accurate. We need one right here, it looks like. Boom. And we do know this is not defined yet because we haven't done that yet. So that makes sense. So let's go fix that now. We're going to take this parameter that's not defined, go up to our parameters field, and parameters, here we go. And I'm looking for this one. Oh, there it is there. So we want to go right here. Do a comma, I do believe. Yes, and we're lined up right there. So we'll give this a name of App Service Plan. Lost focus here. And we'll do a curly bracket, type, and it'll be a string, comma, and then use default value, so it's auto-populated for us. There it goes, finally. And we'll put in here speed app plan. That's all we need there. Let's go fix our error here. Parameters. It's now going to be called what we just called our one more, and we're going to call it app, not dashes. App service plan, nice. It's filled it in for us. And I think we lost a. Still doesn't like it. Does it not want a bracket? Oh, it needs a quote. Single quote. There we go. Next thing we need to do is change our location here. We want to use the more flexible function there. So we'll get rid of parameters here, location. And we'll use, oh, names, right? Hold on. Whoops, app service plan. There we go. There's location is what we want to fix. And I'm just going to take it up here. Control Z. Back down to here. Control V. And looking good. Looking good. So I think we're ready to go ahead and deploy this web app in our template. So I'll click the old save. We'll do the old validate. Look at our parameters and put in our default value here for us. Save, validate. And the cool thing here is my resource group is going to have that storage group already. So you can use templates and add to our deployments without having to modify the code. If it sees the resource, it won't make any changes to the resource unless you added a new property to it. It's the only time it updates it. Or remove a property or change the value of the property to update it. Pretty good. All right, so our template is valid. We're going to go run our deployment. and we're successful. And one thing I didn't point out in the previous part of the lab is I showed you the output in the portal, but you also get the output here as well. Here's the output string, and you can see here's our storage endpoints: DFS, web, blob, queue, table, file. So there you go. And that was the result of this line right here. So let's go cruise to our portal, and we'll change to our speed resource group, and we should see an app service plan. And there it is. Pretty good. And if we look at the scale up, is what I think we want to see the plan. And you can see we're at the dev test, which we've chosen, and B1. And you can see that also is defined in our template. So pretty good. And these are all the properties you could define in the web app. Capacity, name, SKU. Pretty good. Just thought of something we could do that might be a little fun. Is if, let me go back to where I was. We were here, I do believe. And I'm going to go to scale out. What you could do with web apps, you can scale up, meaning a bigger size here, a bigger CPU. Meaning you go here and do a S1, you know, you can see it's 100 total ACU. Do this one, 210, that's scaling up. Or you can scale out, meaning the number of instances. Here we have 1. Let's say we decide, you know what, we want that to be a 2. But we want to be that consistent, you know. We could just go here, change that to a 2 and say save. But we want to use everything through templates to keep our environment so we could easily redeploy if disaster happened. So to do that with our template, or the template way, just come right here to say 2. And click on save. Wow, it's taking a long time to save. Alright, now we'll redeploy. And what should happen is, well, when we go back to the portal, instead of being a 1 there, it will be a 2. And the beauty of this is, if you had to ever redeploy the environment, it would be a 2 already. You wouldn't have to make that change after the fact. And it's also make sure if your standard was 2, it would always be 2. Alright, we're successful. Let's go to the portal. And let's see if we do a refresh. Will that help? Yeah, and there it is. There's a 2. And we can change all properties like that. So pretty good. Well, a little sad. This ends our lab for today. Join us again, where we will explore the world of Azure Quick Start templates. It's another way to help you get started creating more advanced templates. So, see you then. Thanks for watching. And if the mood strikes you, go ahead and subscribe. Or even leave a comment, good or bad. I prefer good comments, but one way to get better is to have good, constructive feedback. So anything you don't like, please let me know. Anything you do like, please let me know. And anything that you'd like to see demoed, let me know as well.